With the release of Tears of the Kingdom being less than 2 months away, I've spent a lot of time over the past few weeks getting myself excited again for this game, after the delay made me feel like this game would never come out. With the most recent trailer and the gameplay that dropped on Tuesday, I've never been more excited for the game. But at the same time, I've never been more anxious. So let me start by saying that I'm in love with everything they've shown so far. The new abilities look incredible, and they're the exact kind of thing that I've wanted from an open world sandbox game, but have never gotten. I love the vehicle building mechanic, and the fuse mechanic is going to have me dreaming of weapon combos until I can finally get my hands on the game, especially now that we know that you can combine more than just 2 weapons together. The new Sky Islands are beautiful as well, and the new themes that I heard were really good. I even found and looked at the leaked art book, and everything shown there was very interesting and exciting. I may do a video on just what was found in the art book at some point, as it was really that comprehensive. I'm not worried at all about what Nintendo has shown us. They are one of the few developers left that produces quality content and doesn't release unfinished games, at least in their mainline series. Every Zelda game has been incredible, so there is no reason to think that this one won't be. And I understand that. What I'm worried about is what Nintendo isn't showing us, what we have not seen in the trailers. I'm worried about the dungeons. When I think about what makes a game a Zelda game, it's hard for me to not think of Ocarina of Time. This was the first Zelda game I ever played, as well as the first video game I ever played. I grew up with this game, and it's the reason I have such a love for the Zelda series and Nintendo. There were moments in this game that I thought, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. One of those was pulling the Master Sword from the pedestal and realizing that I had played into Ganondorf's plan all along, and now I had to go and undo my mistake. But another, maybe more meaningful to me, was when I walked into the Forest Temple and that iconic theme started playing. It's the kind of thing you can only experience to a full extent once, but the only way to even get a similar feeling is in the Zelda series. The atmosphere, the music, the lore, even the lead up to the infested Kakiri forest, everything about this dungeon was great. And I remember my first time walking in, still now, a decade later. There's something about that. There is something magic about the Zelda games, and dungeons are an irreplaceable part of that magic. Since playing Ocarina of Time, I've been trying to get my friends to play Zelda and experience what I just talked about. So far, I've only been able to get my brother and just one of my other friends to finish a classic Zelda game. Most others just didn't have a console to play them on, or thought the games were too slow-paced or outdated. Then everything changed with The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Nintendo captured lightning in a bottle with this game, and everyone I knew that played video games was buying a Switch just to get this game. And they loved it. One of my friends that had never played a Zelda game before called it his favorite game of all time. And there's nothing wrong with that, really. The only problem I have is Breath of the Wild is so different to any of the other Zelda games that they've made so far that new fans will have a really hard time going back and playing the old ones. I've seen that personally with my friends, who love Breath of the Wild so much that they've played it for 400 hours, but they can't even get past the Deku Tree in Ocarina of Time because they think it's boring. With Breath of the Wild, Nintendo has created 2 separate fan bases. One that loves classic linear Zelda and its dungeons, and one who loves Breath of the Wild's open world. And this is a problem to me for 2 reasons. 1, Breath of the Wild was so huge and so successful that Nintendo would be crazy to go back to the old way of making Zelda because they'd alienate all of the new fans that they brought in. And 2, they associate the quote-unquote Zelda formula that got so stale with the dungeons and items, when that's not even really the case. It was never the dungeons and the items that got stale. And I know what some of you are going to say. Caleb, Breath of the Wild has 4 dungeons. You forgot about the divine beasts. What are you talking about? And to that I'll say, I know your first Zelda game is Breath of the Wild. But jokes aside, there are 4 quote-unquote dungeons in Breath of the Wild. But even counting these, they all have a similar location, a similar design, the exact same aesthetic, the same enemies, similar puzzles, and even a similar final boss. What is exciting about that? What do people love about that? I talked earlier about Zelda magic, about how I can still remember everything about the Forest Temple and even hum the theme from when I played it a decade ago. Well, it isn't just the Forest Temple. The Fire Temple and its chanting, the Stone Tower Temple from Majora's Mask, Snow Peak Ruins and City in the Sky from Twilight Princess, the Ancient Cistern from Skyward Sword, and these are only a few of the dungeons from just some of the 3D Zeldas. Can anyone say the same about the Divine Beasts? I sure as hell can. And just to drive this home even further, I asked my friend, the one who said Breath of the Wild was his favorite game, what he liked about it. And you know what he said? He said it had the best open world of any game and he loved exploring it. That description does not describe Zelda to me, or at least it should not. And this is what I want to change. This is the whole point of this video. Zelda needs dungeons. They are a part of its identity, the heart of the series. You can't have one without the other. I love the new open world sandbox design the series is taking. Ever since Link Between Worlds, I have wanted an open world Zelda where you can do the dungeons in any order. But with Breath of the Wild, I only got half of that. I got my open world Zelda, but they overstepped. They cut out too much, went too deep, and severed the game from the very identity of the series. I may love Breath of the Wild, but it doesn't feel like Zelda to me. I want to go into a cave and see it open up into a massive multi-layered dungeon. I want to dive underwater with the Zora armor, only to see a long-forgotten Zora temple. I want to go into Death Mountain, only to find a massive fire dungeon built out of stone waiting for me. There are even places already in the game that could be dungeons, or at least look that way from the outside, but they aren't. Imagine Akla Citadel as a fully functioning dungeon that you could explore. Imagine using the new Ascend power that they showed inside of a new vertical dungeon. The possibilities are endless. They have a skeleton for the best Zelda game ever made. The map is already perfect, and I'm on the side that doesn't really care that they're reusing it for the Tears of the Kingdom. I know Nintendo, and I've never been worried about the map getting stale. There's infinite potential for Tears of the Kingdom, but the closer we get to release, the more I realize that we really might not get what we're looking for in this game. Nintendo seems to be fully leaning into the sandbox type experience that we all loved about Breath of the Wild, and leaving behind what made Zelda great in the first place. All this being said, I'm still really excited for Tears of the Kingdom. Like I said in the beginning, everything Nintendo has shown has been terrific, and they are purposefully keeping everything close to their chest. They are on purpose not showing us what the story or the world is going to look like in this game. And that means that dungeons could still make a surprise comeback. Even if that happens, it doesn't change that what I'm saying in this video is true. Zelda needs dungeons. If you watched to the end of the video, thank you. I worked really hard on this video, and as this is my first one, I had a lot of stuff to work out. If you enjoyed it, or if you relate to what I'm saying, please consider subscribing so I can grow this channel. I have a lot more videos like this in the works. With that said, thanks for watching, and see you next time.